Lovely morning to you, sport fans, wherever you are. Good morning and welcome to today's edition of the program Talk Sport right here on Global TV, Nigerian's capital city. This is what we do Monday to Friday. We bring to you stories that are making headlines in the world of sport. And of course, on today's edition of the program, I've got my colleague, my friend, a sport analyst talking about Tony Umudu, who will be in the program. Tony, good morning and welcome.
Yeah, a pleasure to be here to talk sports.
How's the weekend been?
It's been an amazing weekend. We saw very interesting results. Tottenham bashing Newcastle by as much as 4-1. We saw Fulham also getting into action and whipping the Hammers as much as they could. So it tells you that's why we love the EPL. You cannot predict what's going to play out, and it was amazing. Great weekend. Great weekend,
and of course, great leaders in the EPL. We have a new team now sitting as number one in the EPL. Right here in Nigeria's capital city, there were plenty of matches. And of course, the managing director of Global TV, Dr. Ibrahim View, was there as the official match VIP. And he made sure that the commencement of the game, he had a handshake with all the players, talking about the game between City FC in Abuja and Sporting FC also in Abuja. The game was transmitted live, of course, on Global TV. We'll bring to you some of the interesting action of that game. And of course, just as Tony rightly said, we have gotten all the results of the English Premier League, the Nigeria Professional Football League, and we are 26, talking about America, Mexico, and Canada slogan, we are 26. The race is stopped, and the Africans are getting set to be in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, for the African Cup of Nations, expected to kick off in less than 3 weeks from now. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be looking at what happened over the weekend. Chelsea fans seems not to be smiling, but Tony will tell us he's a die-hard fan of a club that is somewhere in the Premier League. Let's take a break. When we come back, there'll be more on the program Talk Sport right here on Global TV, Nigeria's capital city. And I am Clinton saying welcome on board. Glad to have you back on the program Talk Sport this beautiful Monday morning right here in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. And let's tell you that countdown to the second edition of the ECOWAS Abuja International Marathon Race. Organizers were in the city over the weekend, the city of Abuja, trying to mark the city and ensuring their points, water points, and of course the finishing point. It was agreed that the marathon that was kicked off at the headquarters of ECOWAS, talking about ECOWAS Secretariat here, popularly known as AY Ibora Sokoro, will be the kicked off for the second edition of the ECOWAS Abuja International Marathon Race. It will take you around some specific cities, specific streets in the city, and it will finally terminate at our own Eagle Square. Eagle Square is the venue, the inauguration venue, if you want to say, the home of democracy in Nigeria. So it will be hosting the sub-region. The prize money, we are told, is $10,000 for the winner of the second edition. And so if you think you are good, you can be able to grab 10 million or perhaps $10,000. This is at the time. Let's come back home here. Tony is in the house. And Tony, let's look at... just as you rightly said, to predict the English Premier League, you may get it wrong. The table, Liverpool, they don't walk alone. They are sitting on top of the table. They took the leadership from Arsenal over the weekend. Let's look at some of the matches that were decided.
Well, I think looking at Liverpool, we know Liverpool is a good team. They've always been a good team. For several seasons, they've been always challenging for the title, except for the fact that when Man City came calling, the blue side of Manchester, you couldn't stop Man City and Pep Guardiola. But it's no surprise that Liverpool is back on top. They've always been churning out, getting the needed result. For this season, you can call them the comeback kings. Every time for all the away matches they've played, they've always gone behind after 10 minutes, but they always found a way of coming back. And but your guess is as good as mine. One man is the reason why they've always come back. The Pharaoh from Egypt, talking about Mo Salah, always the man who pulls the strings and get them back into reckoning. And I think Salah has been instrumental for Liverpool. That's why even when the big monies came from Saudi Arabia to buy him, Liverpool said, hell no, we're not letting him go. And I think we're super proud of the Pharaoh from Egypt. He's been instrumental for Liverpool.
And it's a big man as far as the CAF contention is concerned. Salah is hoping to be crowned the African Footballer of the Year alongside our own Victor Osimhen. The continent's football governing body is meeting this weekend in a place called Morocco and to crown the new king of Africa. Salah will always be a name to remember, especially on the score sheet for Liverpool. Yeah, and they're on top now. Just 1 point separate them with the Gunners.
I think it makes it a very interesting, title race. Remember last season, it was for the Gunners to win, and last 2 seasons, the Gunners also gave a good account.
We're thinking they will win.
But we know Arsenal, they always choke when it matters most. And that was what happened. They lost the title to Man City. And this season again, Liverpool, last season wasn't as good as this season is looking for Liverpool. So we expect Liverpool to mount more challenge. We saw that club this time around did some business, made some good buys. And I think Liverpool, they're back. But it's not hooray for Liverpool yet. Arsenal is still doing quite well. Man City is still there with a shout. And don't forget Newcastle in a hurry. Newcastle has been great, aside from when injuries started setting in, and they lost woefully against Tottenham. But Newcastle is a team to watch.
All right, result of matches decided over the weekend. We've got them all, of course, as rightly said. Liverpool is currently sitting on top of the English Professional Football League. They made magic over the weekend. They went to a place called Crystal Palace and they ran away with 2-1. An away goal and a victory for Liverpool. And they have been rewarded sitting top on the table.
For that Liverpool game against Crystal Palace, to some pundits, they were a little bit lucky because twice they went behind. And it was the VAR that came to their rescue. The offside call.
When you say rescue, what do you mean? Not reality.
Because it was chalked off. The goal was chalked off. If the goal wasn't chalked off, it meant Crystal Palace, the Eagles would have been in the lead. And
are you among those who say they should drop the VAR?
It would have made it more difficult for Liverpool to have won that game if those goals stood. So I think they were a little bit
lucky. Are they not
lucky.
the true champion from your own point of view?
No, they cannot be considered the true champion until the end of the season. But you must give it to them. They're true comeback kings. Several times this season they've gone down, gone behind, but they always have a way of coming back. So I think it's a very tight one. The first Liverpool, Arsenal, Aston Villa, and we've got Man City. The points difference is just 2-3 points difference. So it tells you it's going to be a very tight one. For whoever's going to win this season, you have to be super consistent for a long time and also make sure, even if you have to drop the points, it has to be just a point and not 3 points.
Are you putting Man City out of...
No, Man City definitely is a team to watch. We saw what they did against Arsenal when it looked like Arsenal was running away.
Will they come back? Do we expect Man City to come back?
Definitely.
Or is it too early to predict the English Premier League?
It's quite early, but it's not too early to know that Man City will always come back. Yes, their goal machine in Erling Haaland is injured, and they're fighting for his fitness. Once that man is back, the Man City team, they play like the German machines of old. You can't stop them when they keep rolling.
If you watch the game against Man City and a team that is sitting at the bottom of the league, talking about Luton, you will be wondering if City will bounce back. But my colleague here has every motion to say City is expected. They were in action over the weekend, and of course, they ran away with a 2-1 win over a club struggling at the relegation. And of course, it was also a good day for Bournemouth. They made no mistake. They defeated Manchester United.
I think that was a very sad loss by the Red Devils. Everybody expected them to do well after they had got strings of good results in the past 3 games they won, especially when they beat the Blues, talking about Chelsea, against all they beat Chelsea.
And they played a 4-all draw against Man City, unexpected.
We thought, okay, they had turned the corner. But I think what happened was against Bournemouth, they took Bournemouth for granted. They felt it was going to be an easy win
Underdogs.
for them. And Bournemouth did surprise them. But if you flip over, you want to say probably Ten Hag has an issue. He seems to not know what he really wants to do with the team. He has fought too many battles with his players, and there seems to be some unrest in the dressing room in Manchester United. And I think if he does lose two or three more matches, his head might be chopped off.
Of course, you see on the list, report reaching us indicate that he's already on the list, especially when there are indication that more troubles are coming to the team, because the goalkeeper of the team, Onana, is expected to join the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon for the African Cup of Nations. And Onana seems to be the only man presently helping the team, because the entire defense of United is not there. And if Onana honors the invitation to participate in the African Cup of Nations, it looks like there's a big problem for Manchester United, and the coach must be prepared. His shoulders to carry this.
We already know he's going to lose as much as 6 games. He's going to lose some matches in the Champions League, in the FA Cup. But the good thing is that there's this Turkish international who has not been given a chance. And during the international break, he did stare for...
Do they have the money to pay?
No, he's already in the Manchester United team. So it's just a question of giving him a chance with the Red Devils. And that's one of the reasons Onana might not even want to join the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon at the Cup of Nations, because he's scared of losing his chest.
He's scared of losing the chest, but there have been a lot of banking. There have been a lot of criticism for him. So perhaps he should go where he's expected, where to excel.
No, I think the pressure on Onana was really much, coming from to take the place of David De Gea, who was in Man U for almost 12 years and did a very great job while he was in Manchester United.
Yes, but if you compare their records, that of Onana and his record, Onana is said to be the best in Africa, and he was at the finals of the UEFA Championship.
One thing you can't take away from De Gea is that when the team was playing badly, De Gea stood out for Manchester United. And when you look at Onana, from Ajax, he went to Inter Milan and straight to Manchester United. Lots of people felt he wasn't
not straight.
ready.
If you say straight,
yes,
you are fast. He was in Inter Milan and took Inter Milan to the UEFA finals. That's what we're looking at.
No, he didn't.
We're looking at the record.
He didn't single-handedly take Inter
Milan.
No,
but he was on the final. He was the goalkeeper expected.
Inter Milan and Manchester United, these are 2 different teams.
2 different teams.
When he came to the English Premier League, how well did he do?
Onana?
He has not done well. So that criticism will always be there, because he didn't deliver the goods like he was expected.
He's a team that doesn't have defense. You have seen the Manchester United defense.
He was coming to fill the shoes of a very big goalkeeper. And so naturally,
but Onana himself is a world-class keeper.
Technically.
No, he's a world-class keeper. He has been to the World Cup a record of 3 times.
He has to prove it right now.
He's a world-class keeper.
When it comes to
some
football,
of the saving you see.
When it comes to football, we look at present form. You don't judge a player based on last World Cup. You judge the present form. And if your present form is not good, you get dropped to the bench.
The last World Cup in Qatar is the present World Cup we have at hand. Are you saying that Onana has not contributed tremendously since he joined a team like Manchester United that does not have a solid defense?
If he has done great things, he wouldn't be scared of losing his shirt.
Is he scared? He has made known that he's going to Cameroon for the Cup of Nations. He has not hidden his intention. It's not left for Man U.
The truth remains, he has done more harm to his career in the last few matches he has played for Manchester United than good.
Onana, who was sent packing from the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon in the last FIFA World Cup in Qatar, seem to have finally gotten it right with the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. He's expected to join the team in Ivory Coast, where Cameroon will be hoping they will win the African Cup of Nations, a record of 6 times, having failed at home soil, and were relegated to the 3rd place. Let's still talk about the match against the league leaders. Arsenal were in action, and one expected that Arsenal will confirm their stand 1-0 against Aston Villa.
I think if you've been following the English Premier League, you would know that the game against Aston Villa was going to be a very tight one. Aston Villa did beat Man City the almighty Man City. And for against Manchester United, they also had a good game.
But they were playing at home. That counts. That's a plus for them.
When it comes to the English Premier League, home and away basis doesn't count. Manchester United were beaten at home 3-0 by
But the fans are always alive.
Against an Arsenal team, yes, everyone expected the Gunners to carry the day based on their current
thought as
form.
much.
But Aston Villa under Emery, you must remember the fact that Emery had scores to settle with the Gunners. He was their former coach. He knows the Gunners very well.
And he was then, he did his best as a coach.
And he was treated badly in Arsenal. The way he was kicked out of Arsenal still hurts him. And
but you know the rules of the game. You know the rules of the game. If you're not winning, you'll be shown the exit door.
Yes, there are only two things coaches expect. Either you get hired or you get fired. And I think he paid the Gunners back with that 1-0 victory. And I think the Aston Villa, they deserve that victory. For Gunners, I think he just brings them back to earth, makes Arteta know that there's still work to be done for the Gunners to truly carry the English Premier League if they dare to dream. Okay, we can't stop this if we don't look at Chelsea in action, and a lot of fans in Nigeria here. We're hoping that an outright win for Chelsea will perhaps brighten their chances of qualifying or perhaps making the top 5. But the Blues were beaten yesterday. Everton made no mistake, and they ran away with 2 goals and 3 points over a team that is struggling to make it on the top. Are you a Chelsea fan, Tony, if I must ask? I'm an Ajax fan. I'm an Ajax fan. So in the English Premier League, where will you put your money? In the English Premier League, we stand with the Red Devils. The Red Devil? We stand with the Red Devils. The Red Devil. So, so we're talking about Chelsea. I think for Chelsea, we have to be fair to Chelsea. Okay. If you when you say fair, is it that they were not ready to grab 3 points in a way? In terms of the number of players they brought into this season, you can't bring in as much as 7, 8 new players. They have to blend. What is the intention of the management of Chelsea? Was it not to win? The intention was to refresh the team. Oh, that was the intention. The truth so was, why are they competing right now? The players they brought in, like Koulibaly, who they brought in from Napoli, those players didn't live up to expectations, so they had to ship them out. And so it was time for them to rebuild, and it was a rebuilding process. And don't forget, they brought a coach who had been out of action for a while. Talking about Mauricio Pochettino, who got sacked in PSG and was out of action. But it has a powerful CV. It has a powerful CV. You get rusty. It's just like a footballer. The less you play, the less form you are. You need to play more often to be in good form. So Pochettino also had the struggle of trying to blend to know his first 11 and second 11. So, and they win today, they lose tomorrow. Their form has not been consistent. All right, Liverpool currently stand top of the English Professional Football League with a total of 37 points, closely followed by Arsenal, the second place. And then Aston Villa's win has made a remarkable progress. They have jumped up to number 3 in the English Professional Football League, leaving City number 4 with a total of 33 points. Tottenham is there, and Tony's club, Manchester United, never walk. Sorry, the Red Devil are 6th on the table with 27 points. And if you ask me, to them, there's progress because some time ago they were below. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be taking you to the Old Parade Ground, the venue of yesterday's game between City FC and Sporting FC. The game ended in favor of Sporting FC, and the official kick-off of that game was done by Dr. Ibrahim Biu, the Managing Director of Global Television. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll take you there. This is Talk Sport, Global TV, right here in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Don't go away. Glad to have you on the program. Talk Sport right here in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. The NNL, talking about the Nigeria National League. The entire country has been divided into
groups, and the Federal Capital Territory teams are in Group D. An action entered the second day yesterday in Group D at the Old Parade Ground, the venue for the teams in the Federal Capital Territory. We are told that a total of 5 teams are currently struggling for promotion in the Federal Capital Territory. And this is what happened yesterday, where you saw the managing director of Global TV, Dr. Ibrahim Biu, officially kicking off the match, which was decided at the Old Parade. Central referee Biku Sata stood tall in the game, and of course there was no infringement. The game was peacefully with just 2 yellow cards, but at the end of the day, it was the sides that came into the game, talking about Sportive. They are called Supreme, and they show their supremacy over City. Now, Tony, let's look at homegrown football development. Looking at the picture, this seems to be not too good enough for CAF, but perhaps good enough for NFF selection.
I think it's also not good enough for our own league and for our players, especially because you can get the best of the players with that kind of pitch. We expected a better pitch than this. That's why we have there's this call for multinational companies to support our football by giving us better pitches. You can have synthetic pitches if you cannot grow your grasses. It's very sad that at this stage we can still show our pitches this poorly, because with these players easily get injured, our formations and tactics can't work on this kind of pitch. So I think for grassroots development, we need better pitches than this.
Yes, for grassroots development, we need better pitches than this. In Abuja, this is one of the best. Of course, you know, we have the artificial turf at Area 3, yeah, and as well as the goal project. But matches of this magnitude, this seems to be at the center of the country. The pitch is being managed by the FCT Sport Council, and we hope that the management of the Federal Capital Territory are looking into this to improve, especially now that we have a man that has seen it all in sport, talking about formerly known in Rivers State as 001, Governor Yusin Wike. He's now the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. He's a man that has written his name in gold in sport, especially when it comes to sport development. With the involvement of Real Madrid Academic in Rivers State, we look forward to see much from Barrister Yusin Wike as Minister of the FCT, to see how he can help the FCT. Tony, one sad moment is that the Federal Capital Territory does not have a team at the peak of the Nigeria Professional Football League. Could poor pitches be one of those challenges facing?
Well, poor pitches and also investment in sport and football specifically. At the point we have Supreme Court in the FCT here.
A lot of them.
But they never got to the top. So it tells you that investment in sport in the FCT is not as good as when you compare it to states like Lagos or Rivers. In Rivers, talking about you can tell those states,
the people's elephants.
Yes, they invest heavily by making sure they get all the good players from other club sides to play in their team. But we thought Supreme Court was trying really hard at a point to get to the top, but I don't know what happened. Mismanagement at a point, did them in. For the FCT, if they really want to get to the top, they need to invest in players, management, coaches, and also the pitches, like we rightly said, is something they have to do.
If Abuja will present such a pitch for such a league, what do you expect from the state? Now, of course, Lobby Stars were in action. They have their own match in Lafayette Township Stadium. We are told that the stadium in Makurdi is under renovation. So the pressure now is at the Lafayette Township Stadium. But what we see in Nigeria is now everybody is talking about the Godswill Akpabio Stadium. River United are playing their CAF Confederation Championship in that very place. The Super Eagles have signed a deal that Uyo is their winning ground, and in the past 2 matches it has been shaking. Issue of pitches in the country is a major problem. Tony, how can we have a lasting solution? CAF says we have only 1 pitch in Nigeria. Are you aware of that?
I think the problem is not that we do not have the stadiums or pitches, but the issue is maintenance. Because most times you see in the states level, or even at the national stadium at a point, you see the stadium management lease this pitch for church crusades,
for parties,
music concerts, and this affects the grass. The grass needs to be watered. It's supposed to be. In Europe, there's what we call the groundsman. their job is just to cater for the turf, make sure it's at the level, it's watered. There are certain temperatures those grasses need to be at.
And there are a lot of things they do not accept. We have all what you've said, but you're surprised that in Nigeria, they will introduce a canopy in the pitch. You know the weight of a canopy? Sometimes they will even go as far as even digging. In fact, the old parade ground that you saw, there was a time there was rice exhibition. And it took the FCT Sport Council with the organizers, maybe a talk of war. Because how can you imagine like 1,000 bags of rice in a pitch?
Definitely, it's going to kill the grasses.
Of course. So we hope we'll get it right. But let's take you away from this, Tony. Let's go straight to Ogun State. It's set to host what can be described as Nigeria Olympic, the National Sport Festival. The committee had inspection of the facilities, and they're saying that Ogun State is still a little bit far from hosting. Although the host right was given to them 2 years to prepare, but next year they will be able to host Africa. So they will be able to host the entire country. Let's look at the readiness of Ogun State hosting the National Sport Festival.
I think the states are usually never ready. For every time you hear a state is going to host the National Sports Festival, they give on the media, in the papers, on TV, they are ready. They tell you everything's ready. They've gone on tour, but a year to 6 months to the event, you hear there's going to be a postponement. They give you one reason or the other. Either if it's the election year, they tell you because of the change of government, so we have to re-strategize.
You need to confuse the incoming government. So if this is part on the table.
I think the issue is that we do not prepare for when countries are hosting, because they have their sports facilities in check already, maintained. So when it's time to host, you don't have to do too much to get ready for hosting a tournament. But for us here, our facilities
for us in Africa, not only Nigeria,
are not maintained.
Not only in Nigeria, because the All Africa
most
games.
Times in Nigeria, because we have
all
South
over
Africa.
No, all over Africa.
No, North Africans
Let me give you
are always
instances,
ready.
Tony.
North Africans are always ready.
No,
South Africa has always been ready to host any. Remember the several times they came to rescue CAF to host the Cup of Nations.
Tony,
so they are always ready. The North Africans are more organized than the West Africans.
Tony, it's a disease that not only Nigeria. I understand that the All Africa game has been postponed twice in Ghana. And right now, Ghana is making history. The All Africa game will not be staged in one city. It has now been spread to 3 cities. Normally, the All Africa game is one particular city. Now, you talked about the African Cup of Nations. Morocco have bid it on paper that they can stage a World Cup, but of course, you know, they are not ready. Ivory Coast is staging the African Cup of Nations next year twice.
Why do you say they're not ready?
Of course, we are talking about stadium. They can only parade
Morocco was one of the first countries that bidded to host the World Cup.
Bidded is quite different.
They were not given because of political reasons.
No, not political reasons. Morocco can stand South Africa when it comes to hosting. Twice on paper, they have given the opportunity.
That's a personal opinion because
no.
Reports reaching us, they were quite very ready to host the world. They were ready to host the world.
Have you forgotten the way?
Political leanings because of Nelson Mandela gave South Africa that
No, you can't say so.
And that's
Morocco wouldn't have.
Morocco wouldn't got that hosting.
Morocco wouldn't. In fact, even in the absence of South Africa, Morocco has been given the right.
Remember they hosted the female AFCON recently?
Of course, they hosted AFCON.
Good.
Severally, they have hosted them.
How was the facility in check?
Compared to what is in South Africa, Tony? The FIFA World Cup is quite different.
I told you the North African countries, which Morocco is one of them, because Morocco is close to Spain. Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, these North African countries.
They can't host the World Cup. No, they can't host the World Cup, Tony. We have seen
that's not true.
No, we've seen the club sites. Morocco has won the club site. How many stadiums were
Can you compare the leagues in Northern Africa to those in the West?
In terms of trophies?
In terms of trophies, in terms of facilities, in terms of club organization. Nigerian players, West African players from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Senegal, they move to North African countries like Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, Zamalek.
And not because of stadium.
Before they moved to Europe.
Not because of stadium, or maybe because it serves as a gateway.
Why?
Perhaps it serves as a gateway for
Why?
you to enter Europe.
Why?
It's not only players who
No,
go there.
but why is that? Why is it that Europe would poach on
By
African
nature.
players?
No, by nature. No,
It's
excuse Tony.
because they are organized.
No, Tony.
Because their leagues are organized.
No, Tony. See, I'm not denying the fact. I'm not denying the fact that their league is not organized. But to say
It's
that
organized,
but to say that the North African country can stage the FIFA World Cup of today, no, you're wrong. Why do players go to the Northern African country? It's because that part of the continent serves as a gateway to Europe.
Why does this? That's the question I'm asking. Why does it serve as a gateway?
By nature, they find themselves close to Spain than we.
No,
by
apart from
nature.
that, is
by
that
nature,
just the way?
That is one major.
So you think they
what
just,
should we have done? Should we move Nigeria from West Africa to North Africa?
That's what I'm telling you. That West African countries, Nigeria, Ghana, their leagues are not as professional as those in Tunisia, Algeria.
That's what we're saying.
Egypt.
No.
What is no? I
Because
don't understand what is no.
Yes, because
their
our
leagues, our leagues better than theirs.
No, because we don't beam our league, that doesn't make our league inferior.
Oh, you don't even beam your league.
Of course, it has to do with contract.
And you say your league is better than theirs that is beamed?
Because the players we produce in Africa, or rather the players we produce in West Africa, are always there displaying as part of... Okay, look at the entire North Africa. You can't mention 4 players in the North Africa, but we can mention 10 players.
You cannot beam your league, and you say the person who beams his league, your league is better than his.
It's interest. There's interest from the private sector.
That's because, one, your pitch is bad. Second, you don't have the media. You don't have the financial power to beam your league.
No, we do have.
Where did Emmanuel Amunike move to from when he left Nigeria?
Yes.
He went where?
Of course, he went to the north. So what does that mean? Are there not players who are living from Esperance? I don't know players who are living here.
Why didn't he just leave? How many northern players?
Don't you have players who live here straight to Europe?
No. How many northern players have come to Nigeria or Ghana before leaving to Europe?
It depends the policy on ground. There are certain countries that will say Africa or this country cannot play. That does not make our league more inferior than them.
Our league is definitely
inferior. I put it to you, no, it's not.
Africa.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we will look at other sporting issues in the country. But we know that we are in the right track, and we are set. The Super Eagles is set for the African Cup of Nations. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be looking at the readiness of Ivory Coast hosting the entire Africa. Don't go away. This is TalkSport on Global TV, and Tony is my guest this afternoon or this morning, and it's looking very, very hot against his own continent. We'll ask him to submit his... let's take a break. Strongly believe that you are tuned to Talk Sport on Global TV. We'll be taking you straight to Ivory Coast, talking about the hosting of the African Cup of Nations next month. A total of 24 teams will be joining the Elephants of Ivory Coast, who goes home with the crown of being the latest champion. Currently, the Teranga Lions of Senegal are the cup owners of Africa. Of course, they defeated Egypt in the finals in faraway Yaoundé when Cameroon staged the African Cup of Nations. Nigerian Super Eagles qualified to participate in the 2024 African Cup of Nations, and the team says they were using their first 2 matches in the World Cup as a warm-up matches, Tony. The match against Lesotho and Zimbabwe, NFF said it was a preparation for the Cup of Nations. The 2 matches that we played draw, scoring 2 goals.
I think that's what the NFF says, but we as football lovers and our darling Super Eagles, we always want them to win no matter whoever they're playing. But I think it was a good test for the Super Eagles, especially for Peseiro, for him to size his voice, because for all we know, Peseiro does not completely know his team. Because in terms of...
A man who has given you the Cup of Nations, Tony, you say he doesn't know his team?
His first 11.
He knows his team.
He has given you He hasn't won the Cup of Nations.
Of course, he qualified us to
yeah, but
to
he hasn't won it.
No, I said he qualified. I said the man who was giving us the ticket.
Okay, ticket.
Yes,
you know,
yes, he qualified us.
Even when in the qualifiers.
So if you say he has not known his players,
you could see how he ticked.
So if you say he has not known his players,
he has not.
Are you suspecting there could be interference from
from the angle of, if you remember, towards the end, he had some new players. He had to Boniface, who set the Italian league on fire.
He has to introduce some of these players.
He brought some, so he still took in the team, still knowing, okay, for peradventure, my first 11 gets certain players in the first 11 gets injured. Yeah. Like at the point where we had Osimhen out, he had to fill in who could fill in. Was it Murphy? Was it Boniface? Could it be Simon Moses? Who is the person who can actually play that top nine if Osimhen is not out? So those matches gave him the opportunity to test run all those new players. And I think it's going to be a good one. But also the sad story about the Super Eagles is that at times you hear the coach is being owed X amount of money. You hear Peseiro say...
I don't think he's being owed now because the new leadership of NFA, our own very good friend, Gusso has done everything possible to clear the bill he made on table.
Are you speaking for NFF now? Because this same stories came out some few weeks ago.
NFF is not owing. NFF is not owing. What they did with him was that they had a gentleman discussion and they have a salary cut, which he accepted and came on board back to continue from where he is. The question now is, Tony, what's the relationship? Because it appears after the two draws, Nigerians were almost saying he should be sent packing.
The truth is that Peseiro has not... We know how the Super Eagles play. If you remember the era of Clemens Westerhoff, in 1990, when we went to Just 90, we lost.
Did you win all the matches before going?
We lost our first match in Just 90. Algeria beat us as much as 5-1. And we thought it was done and dusted. But the Super Eagles went on to get to the finals and played Algeria in the final and lost by just 1-0. Fast forward, you could see the Super Eagles progress. You could tell by 94, the Super Eagles won the Nations Cup. They qualified for the first World Cup for Nigeria. You could tell the Super Eagles was moving. You saw them in Atlanta 96. You could actually see the Super Eagles change into a formidable team. But with Peseiro, you cannot say this is how the Super Eagles play.
Tony, but these are players that go on retirement and good set of players come on board. Now, let's look at the team is set for the African Cup of Nations and they have 3 friendly matches. What type of expectation? Should the players go all out and get themselves injured or should maintain the momentum of getting set for the Cup of Nations? What do you expect from the bench?
I think it boils down to whatever strategy Peseiro is going to adopt. Like I keep going back to Westerhoff's era because then we always knew that Westerhoff would take the Nigerian team to Papendal in Holland. They'll be in camp for like 2-3 weeks. Then they play some friendly match into the Cup of Nations. And within those 2-3 matches into the Cup of Nations, you begin to see the likely first 11 of the Super Eagles. They build form into the Cup of Nations, but now it's a different ball game.
The camping ground is set.
Would he be able to build the form into the Nations Cup or build the form outside the Cup of Nations is another thing.
Looking at his contract with the Nigerian Football Federation was to qualify the team for African Cup of Nations, and he has done that 100%. His contract was renewed, which includes to come home with the Cup of Nations. If you ask me, I don't know if there is an uphill for him to climb, as well as the World Cup. My friend is saying...
It shouldn't, because Nigeria is not a small country when it comes to football in the African continent. We're 3 times African champions.
3 times?
Yes. So
3.
It speaks a lot.
3 times, but we are not the top 3 when it talks about those that have won.
When you talk about African football, Nigeria has always put Africa at the stage map. We look at the first Under-17 World Cup.
And then 85. You cannot deny us the fact that our league it's not on top.
No, we're not.
With all this qualification, with all this achievement, that shows that they ruled. That shows that they ruled as well.
No, there's a difference. In 1985, when we won the World Cup, our leagues were better. We had stationary stores. We had ACD. We had our league running fantastic.
We won under-17.
We had
if
our
you say World Cup, my listeners will be
But right now, we don't have the best of our players in the Nigerian league.
We have the victors.
Best of our players are outside the shores. So.
Well, the Talk Sport right here on the Global TV this beautiful Monday morning. We are taking a look at on how to improve on certain departments, sport generally in the country. Of course, my colleague here, Tony Momo, is a very strong analyst and is giving contribution on this program. And of course, he will be the face that you will be seeing most of the time on the program Talk Sport right here on Global TV. And so together we'll be bringing to you sporting stories across the globe. Tony, I want to say a very big thank you.
It's always a pleasure talking sports.
And to welcome you on board the family of Talk Sports.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to be getting loads of big stories making the rounds in the exciting world of sport, like he says. And the dressing room will be brought into the studio live. And obviously, we're getting best mind coaches, ex-internationals, come talk sports with us. And we've got the Cup of Nations coming up, so it's going to be fantastic. The Champions League is going to be amazing. Lots of things for all sports people. We're talking football, tennis, basketball, Formula One, where Max Verstappen is running away with the title already. These and every other thing, not forgetting boxing, of course.
Talk Sport returns same time right here on Global TV from Monday to Friday. We bring to you stories that are making headlines. And of course, we have our bench is full, and so there are a lot of players that will be coming back. If you did enjoy today's edition of the program, why not join us tomorrow, same time, same station, right here, Nigeria's capital city. My name is Clinton Agbayuk, and a very big thank you to...
Yeah, you call me the king of sports.
That's the king of sports, Tony Momo, joining us on the program Talk Sport. He's a member of the family. We'll be doing justice to that. Have a wonderful Monday sporting day ahead of you.